Leadership and ethics are two of the most important aspects of running a successful business. Leaders set the tone for their organizations, and their ethical standards help to guide employees in making decisions that are in the best interest of the company. By fostering a culture of leadership and ethics, businesses can ensure that they are operating in a way that is fair and transparent. In this episode, we'll be discussing entrepreneurship, leadership, and ethics in business. The Futuristic Africa Talk. Brought to you by Ovid Capita. Conversations that will shape the future of Africa.
The African consumer is not who we're being told they are. They're complex, they're multidimensional, they're dynamic.
So people look around the world and they say, where is it that we have a consumer base of that sort of size, a young consumer base that's also ready?
I think there's a wide acknowledgement that Africa is rising. I think we're the optimistic first of the earth, really, because at the same time,
Africa doesn't need aid, but Africa needs a lot of inflow of capital from other areas of the world.
Better Africa means better global.
Àdúgbò alárugẹ ká tún ṣe tó máa dàbí ibi tí àwọn ìgbé wa ń gba ìsinmi tí àwọn ibi ń pè ní tourism.
There remains an observation that the perceived risks of investing in Africa is much higher than the actual risk.
It is my hope that our aspiration will come to fruition.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you're watching this podcast from. My name is Esiri Eric, and I welcome you all to the Futuristic Africa Talk, a fresh episode. Now, just a little bit about Ovid Capita that happens to power this podcast. Ovid Capita is a leading business organization and investment firm using over 10 years experience in Africa to provide its investors with unique exposure to African opportunities. Does Ovid Capita really want to do? Now, they want to play a central and influential role in Africa's social economic growth by guiding sustainable capital towards key projects on the continent of Africa. So it is with this responsibility that Ovid Capita has launched this podcast, and we touch on issues ranging from production, agriculture, oil and gas, real estate, and just to mention a few. Now, who do we have on the call this hour? No other person than Kim. You take it all away.
Yes, so thank you so much, Eric. It's just a pleasure to be a part of Ovid Capita and the movement that is being created through the investment private equity firm. And we are so excited about just growth and investment in Africa. This is what this is all about. We have here today a very distinguished, dynamic guest with us. We are with Dr. Violet. She is representing Nigeria in a very strong way, but also our global entrepreneurship workforce. Violet is a strategic and exceptionally successful project manager and multi-level entrepreneur with over 20 years experience in business management, corporate solutions, and fashion. And we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, leadership, and ethics in business. Dr. Violet began with her bachelor's degree in microbiology from the University of Benin. Violet has bagged a master's in microbiology from the University of Lagos and an MBA from the prestigious Lagos Business School. In addition, she holds a coveted Doctor of Business Administration honoris causa from Swiss School of Business and Management, Geneva, Switzerland. and a certificate in cross-cultural negotiations from IESE Business School, Barcelona, Spain, and another in board readiness and effectiveness from the internationally acclaimed Wimber Training Institute. As the founding managing director of TimeTell Nigeria Limited, a corporate gift and retail solutions company, and the owner of AfriConcept with a K, an Afrocentric and ethnically sustainable fashion brand, Violet has done business and forged partnerships across the United States, Germany, Spain, France, China, and UAE, and the United Kingdom. She is currently serving on the board of the Nigeria America Chamber of Commerce and the Nigeria Diaspora Chamber of Commerce as a non-executive director, and she has multiple impactful organizations she represents. Violet is an SME advisor to many entrepreneurs and business corporations. Actively, she's committed to the women empowerment, environmental protection, and the provision of social justice for all. I am not going to go without saying that she is a devoted wife and mother of 5. Violet is a very focused, resilient, amiable, charismatic, and passionate and results-oriented person, and she speaks 5 languages. And in her free time, she enjoys reading, dancing, and cooking. We welcome you here with us today, Dr. Violet. Thank you so much for being a part of this platform. And we're going to start this off with let's just start it off with the simple question. What is entrepreneurship?
Thank you, Kim. It's good to be here with you. Entrepreneurship is simply building a business, taking financial risk, and hoping to make profit, and also impacting your community positively. That's entrepreneurship to me. That's what it means.
Now, off of that, can you tell me about leadership in entrepreneurship and what is ethics?
Okay, leadership in entrepreneurship is the ability to build a team, create strategic direction, have a clear vision, and motivating and inspiring your team to drive the vision. That's leadership in entrepreneurship. And for ethics, ethics is the moral code. It simply means doing the right thing at all times, whether favorable to you or not, for the common good. So the key word there is common good. So at every point in time as an entrepreneur, you should do things that not just benefit only you, or you shouldn't only always think about profit, but you have to think of the impact of what you're doing to the society, to your employee, and to the organization. Yeah. So that's leadership and ethics.
Awesome. Dr. Violet, permit me to ask, because right now we've talked about entrepreneurship, now we've talked about leadership, and also you talked about ethics. Now it gives me the sense to want to ask, because serving as an ethical leader encompasses more than following some policies and procedures. In my own opinion, I believe it is incorporating ethics into leadership strategies involves a thoughtful course of action. So now this brings me to the question, what is the ultimate goal of leadership as it connects to growth in entrepreneurship and ethics in business?
Okay, thank you. The thing is, without ethics, you cannot grow a sustainable business. That's the truth. And like I always say, as an entrepreneur, you need to take a decision on what path you want to follow, right? Do you want the quick and easy wins that can be eroded overnight? Or do you want an organic, sustainable, ethical growth that can outlive you? So when you take that decision, then that crafts the path that you need to follow. And for myself as Dr. Violet, an entrepreneur, I chose the path of ethical leadership, growing my business in an organic way that can impact on both the people I employ, on the business and the community, and at the long run, the world at large. So leadership and ethics goes hand in hand. And it also has to do with what are your personal values, because at the end of the day, having ethics in business is not just about putting pen on paper to say, okay, these are our ethical codes. No, it's something that you live and breathe every day to the minutest of details, So for me, the key things that drive ethics is integrity. You need to be able to have integrity. You must be transparent, and then you must have a process that shows that at all times you are accountable to the people that you lead. So accountability goes both ways, not just employees to leader, but both leader to employee and employees to leader. And that becomes the moral code that guides the organization, even when not spoken, but everybody understands and live that truth of ethics in everything that they do. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. You spoke about having a moral code. It has to do with integrity. It has to do with accountability and transparency. These are some of the should I call them characteristics or should I call them features of leadership? Right. Now that brings me to my next question. What does it mean to take responsibility in leadership as an entrepreneur? You have been in the system for 20 plus and still counting. Now, you want to ask me, what are the expectations? Because well beyond managing your own profit as Dr. Violet, you also seek to improve the lives of people. You support the successes of community and protect the planet. Also, making profit and corporate social responsibility, the way I see it, are no longer seen as mutually exclusive ideas. So for many, so what does it mean to take responsibility in leadership as an entrepreneur?
Okay, taking responsibility, leadership responsibility as an entrepreneur entails all that you have just said. And again, like you said, leadership, ethics, CSR are no longer mutually exclusive. They are actually part and one of the same goal, because you can't run a business and focus only on your numbers. What are the numbers? You're running your numbers, not caring about what impact you're having on your community or even in the organization. It starts from within, which is the organization, and then you take it a notch further to the immediate community, and then you take it higher to the larger society. So it's not something that's mutually exclusive. They're integrated: leadership, ethics, and because you can't really be a leader without empathy anyway. So, and when you're empathetic, you always care about what your action is doing to the next person. So, and that is why for my organization as TimeTel, we keyed into the 3 SDG goals: SDG goal 1, 5, and 13. 1 for no poverty, 5 for gender equality, and then 13 for climate action. And this kind of forms the DNA of everything that we do, and our strategic plans aligns around this to ensure that our activities and our processes align to the demands of those 3 SDG goals. And that is what it takes to be a leader, by being strategic, keying into the global vision and driving the process, and then empowering the team to be able to drive, to see the vision of where you are going, and then be able to drive the process to take everybody to that destination, while at the same time having a positive impact on the community from which you operate. So that is the interrelationship between leadership ethics and social impact and CSR. Yeah.
So, Dr. Violet, I just love the way that you're thinking, and you're taking a holistic approach on leadership in business. It's a requirement it should be a requirement to uphold the integrity of how you operate your business, but it has to be personal. It has to be a personal driven thing within you. And it's interesting to know that why do people often disagree about doing the right thing? Like, why is that a challenge? Why do people disagree with doing the right thing? Integrity is the quality of seeing things all the way through. So can you expound a little bit off of that?
Okay. The thing is this: people want the easy way out at all times. And that is why it's difficult for people to do the right thing. They always want it the easier way, and they only end up doing the right thing when there's consequences for, going the other way. What am I trying to say? It takes a lot of, and that's why the issue of personal value comes in, because it takes a lot of courage and belief and resilience to be able to continuously at all times do the right thing as is beneficial to all. So most times, bringing it down to organizations and corporations, most times people are looking at how does it benefit them, and they're looking at their numbers, their profit, and all that. And when it's time to take those critical decisions that may not be favorable to their numbers, they begin to renege. So that's why it's difficult for people to do the right thing at all times. But the truth is that when you do the right thing at all times, taking into consideration the impact of what you do, across board, your business actually thrives better and you grow faster. But most people do not understand that. But that is the truth. It has worked for me and it keeps working for me, because in my business, I practically live on referrals, people that I've done business with, and they move to other organizations and they're looking for somebody who can deliver this company title. Oh, she will deliver. So the thing is, you need to build your business on competence and not on frivolities, or maybe because Mr. A or Mr. B. Yeah, there's a room for that, but the most important thing is building credibility, building integrity, building professionalism, and then every other thing will follow. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this is
Dr. Violet. Sorry, Kim, just to chip in this
yes.
Before you ask your next question. Admitting that someone is right these days for many can be seen as weaknesses or submission. Is it true?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Admitting that one is right is
okay.
What?
Yes, because some people tend to think that admitting to something sometimes seem to be some sort of weakness or submission. In your own opinion, is that true?
No, that's actually maturity. Being able to accept that you're wrong, even in the face of difficulty, is the most honorable thing to do. And that's a very clear sign of maturity. So it's not being weak, rather it's from a place of strength. It takes a lot of courage to take responsibility when you're wrong, even when you know what that is, how that is going to affect you or affect your business or affect the people around you. So to me, that's maturity and not weakness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Kim, please.
And just as you're talking about maturity, this is what this is all about. Even with Ovid Capita, it's all about growth and investment in Africa. And once you are able to understand some of those moments when you were wrong in business, or even just as an individual, you'll find what you're aiming to do propelling forward once you come to that space of accepting where you may have gotten wrong with those numbers, or where you have gotten wrong with how you interacted with your employees, or even just people in general. It's part of maturing, and it's all a part of seeing things happen and moving in the right direction altogether. You talked about the SDGs, you know, and it being part of your DNA. And again, we're thinking about what Ovid Capita is pushing in terms of creating global awareness and, understanding what SDGs are, which stands for Sustainability Development Goals. There are mechanisms that need to be put in place, right? From the African Union, they have Sustainability Development Goals, which is where you made part of your organization of, what is it, the things that you're focusing on to help push the agenda forward. The United Nations has Sustainability Development Goals, a plan to help push a common ground for Africa, and so when we think about this all together, and then ethics, what is an ethical workplace, and considering all these different factors of how we need to build all together?
Okay. And like I said earlier, that ethics in the first place is doing the right thing at all times, whether favorable or not. So an ethical workplace is a work environment where there is a conducive working environment. There's fair wage. People are being paid on the best standards of what it should be globally. And also there's no discrimination. There's room for everyone to thrive, giving people opportunity to grow and thrive. And also in your production, and if you're a producing company, your processes must align with the best safety measures. You must not treat your employees like slaves. Those are the things that come together to form an ethical workplace. And at all times, people must get what is due to them. Yes, that's an ethical work environment.
And so what are the, and as we're again thinking of on this level, what are the ethical dimensions of power and authority in business? Does power magnify more moral characteristics that are already there, or does it corrupt moral character?
It still boils down to the values of the leader, right? So it can swing either ways, right, depending on the values of the person who is in charge or who has this power. And for me, as Dr. Violet, the power actually helps to magnify my ethical beliefs and conduct, because I'm using that position of authority to realign the mindset of the team to align with the right things to do at all times. Even when we are working in a very difficult environment and terrain where there's a general belief that you can never do things without bending your back backwards, but I have been able to magnify the ethical conduct, will I call it code or whatever it is, through my team to see that it is possible, to get it done and to be successful in business without necessarily compromising. And it even becomes an attractive measure that kind of attracts people, the right people to you, because you're doing the right thing, you're promoting the right values, you're making the right impact to the society. So I would say power can magnify your ethical conduct, or on the other hand, depending on the values, but I have chosen my own path, so I don't know how the people on the other side works around that. Thank you.
I love it. And Eric, I just got to lift this up. Again, it's part of the characteristics. This is what makes change happen. And this is how we can transform society, just through having that moral standard, even within the organization. It's at every level of connection, human connection along the way of what we're doing here. And so thank you so much for magnifying that and lifting that up in that way, because that's what is required as we shift. We create this paradigm shift in this space. Thank you for that. Eric, I'm going to yield to you.
Yes, just to add, I think I had some experience, some time ago, because I believe that the issues of power and authority are core to social work. Social workers today often grapple with difficult professional and systematic power dynamics with both service users and other professionals they encounter in multi-agency working places. Now, my experience some years ago happens to be with the ethical issues rising from an imbalance in power and dynamics, both between myself and a social user and between another professional. So what I did was explore the use of power and professional authority, in solving some of those uprising in that workplace. So thank you, Dr. Violet, for really hitting that up. So now we all know. Thank you so much. So now to continue.
I would like to add a word. Sorry, I would like to add a word. I'd like to add the words to what you just said. The truth is, when you run an ethical organization, you will hardly have that situation you're talking about now, because even in the most difficult of situations, everybody understands that there's transparency, and rather than have a revolt, you have sympathy and support. So that's why it's still very important to have an ethical system.
Thank you so much. My next question is this, because I believe that there is no leader without at least a follower. That's obvious. Yet the modern leadership industry that we are now a quarterly century old is built on the proposition that leaders matter a great deal and followers hardly at all. Now, as a leader in that business space, what are the duties of a leader to a follower? Is it permissible to use followers merely as a means to another end, or must they always be viewed as ends in themselves?
Like you said, there's no leader without follower, right? And so for you to be a leader, there must be something that you're doing that is attracting the follower to you. And followership should not be taken for granted. So it should actually be a win-win. If you have if you have followers, then your role as a leader is to ensure that you encourage and support them to bring out the best in them. Because for every single individual, there's an area of strength. All you need to look is just to look further and pay more attention. So I don't believe that you use followers as a means to an end. No, it's a continuous process. So you should also impact on them as they impact and as they look up to you for direction and all that. So that's my own stance on that.
And even with you saying that, the word that is flowing through my head is being intentional. You really got to be intentional at every point of contact. You talked about measuring. measuring goals, measuring the outcomes of, how we interact with one another is part of an ethical code or a moral code. Measuring our performance in every single way would be it's a sign of being intentional on how we, will perform and create transformative wealth opportunities. All of that together, it matters. What is the greater good, as it relates to entrepreneurship and leadership and ethics in business?
The greater good as it relates to entrepreneurship, ethics, and all is the welfare and the well-being of everyone. So whatever action or decision that you take must have a positive impact on all the people around, the teams, the organization, the local community, and the world at large. That is the common good. So in everything as an ethical business, there's a consideration of what impact your action activities can have, on the whole process of the people around you, the stakeholders and all. So that is the common good. So at every point in time, whatever you're doing must have positive impact on this cycle of people from within the organization to the local community to the world at large. So that's the common good. And every entrepreneur should ensure that whatever they do, there's that consideration of the larger impact of their actions and activities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I just want to touch a bit on that because I have happened to be working with the CEO of Ovid Capita, Mr. Anthony, and also the Chief Investment Officer, Mr. Echoes. These are gentlemen who have over time nurtured me and the way that I think, not just about me running the business, but on how to treat others. Many people refer to the word greater good as an important part of leading ethically, and they use these words differently to describe. Now, Ovid Capital works to create regional professionals that are inclusive of all people, whether you are in Nigeria, you are in the US, you're in the UK, you're in South Africa, and these people, they support development of ethics, sustainability, and success in businesses and market around the world. So, but these descriptions they use collectively paint a picture of responsibility to think beyond themselves. So that is what Ovid Capital is all about. They think beyond themselves and to work for a better, inclusive society. Thank you, Dr. Violet, for also clearing that up. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to conclude this call, what would you say to entrepreneurs out there? Kim, she's an entrepreneur. I am an aspiring one, and I have met a whole others out there, right? So what would you say that leaders out there from everything that we have discussed? Because successful entrepreneurs have a distinct personality traits that sets them apart from other organizational leaders. Like they have sense of curiosity. And I also believe that an entrepreneur's ability to remain curious allows them to continuously seek new opportunities. Rather than settling for what they think they know, entrepreneurs ask challenging questions and they explore different avenues. For a professional like you who have been also in the game for 20 years plus and still counting, what would you say to entrepreneurs, leaders out there from all around the world? What would they have to learn? What is the take home from everything that we've discussed so far? Dr. Violet, please.
What I would say to the entrepreneurs out there is the first thing is you need to know where you want to go. The vision needs to be clear. And then you must have the right values. Like I've said, you have to take a decision which way to go, but it always pays better that you take the right step by building a sustainable and ethical business and laying the right foundation and having processes in your business. Have good processes in your business, show accountability in your business, be creative and be open to learn. Keep learning, unlearning, and relearning, because it's a continuous process of growth. So there's no one entrepreneur that knows it all. You learn even from your employees. There are some traits you also pick up and learn from them. So be open to learning, also be accessible, be transparent, and then be creative, and then ultimately be innovative. You have to keep innovating the business. You don't stay at one point, you become stagnant and die. Therefore, you need to keep innovating, read the room, read the environment, pay attention to trends, and also continue to realign your strategy with the current climate, business climate, and environment. Like right now, globally, everybody is challenged. So every business needs to be thinking, creating scenarios and planning on how to leverage on opportunities that may come out of certain situations. So therefore, every entrepreneur must keep learning, must be innovative, must be accountable, and then must be transparent, and then be ethical. The ultimate is being ethical. It will drive every other thing and drive growth for you across continents and across the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Be ethical, be transparent, be open to learning, because it is a continuous process. Thank you so much. And I personally, I have learned a lot from this call today. Kim?
Thank
Yes. No, thank you so much, Dr. Violet. And I'm also hearing ethical processes. I hear policies, having those things in place, understanding the language of all those things that make a business operative and successful and sustainable, and being innovative. All those things matter. And so just thank you for lifting all of this up in this conversation. We don't sound the alarm around ethics like this, you understand, and we need to push it more, because this is, again, is what's going to be necessary to help transform it. And this is what I appreciate about Ovid Capita. And again, I speak about the movement of growth and investment in Africa. This is the intention that we have, and all together, working together in collaboration in this way on this platform makes things come together. So thank you so much for your contributions, Dr. Violet. We look forward to building further more with you in the future, and peace and blessings to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I also look forward to more engagement in the future.
Definitely. So we're going to do that. Dr. Violet, I believe that when we call upon you next time, you will avail us the privilege to speak with you again, because there's so much to say. Really, there's so much to say. And the people the people, they need to hear it. Africa needs to hear it. The world needs to hear it. So I want to say a very big thank you. All of us from Ovid Capita, we're saying a very big thank you. And to our viewers and our listeners out there, so you've heard it all. So keep learning, keep being innovative, and you say that would definitely drive growth for you. So it is with this end that we say you can watch us on all of our social media handles. On LinkedIn, it's Ovid Capita. On YouTube, it's TFAT, the Futuristic Africa Talk. You can find us there, and also on Facebook also. Visit and you can watch all of our episodes. So thank you, Dr. Violet, and peace and blessing, me lending my voice to that of Kim. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Let's keep building Africa.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kim.
Bye. Great run.
The information on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not investment or financial advice. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. None of the information on this podcast constitutes, or should be relied on as, a suggestion, offer, or other solicitation to engage in, or refrain from engaging in, any purchase, sale, or any other investment-related activity with respect to any STO or other transaction.